Empathy is beautiful until it becomes destructive. Managers need to learn to care for people, but when that goes a little bit overboard, too much empathy or the wrong kind, well, that slowly destroys performance, clarity, and even morale. Let's take a look at wise empathy and self-destructive empathy. Empathy is good, but not all empathy is helpful. Empathy helps people and teams feel understood. It builds trust. It lowers conflict and helps with psychological safety. And no healthy team really exists without it. But it has a shadow side. And this shadow side is that it becomes unbounded, uncritical, sentimental even. And then it goes from being kind and empathetic to being enabling. And in enabling, you shield people from the consequences of their actions. You allow manipulative or egocentric behavior to go unchecked. And because of this, performance problems linger. And resentment builds with the rest who are left carrying the weight. What many leaders characterize as being kind is actually just avoiding discomfort. When empathy becomes self-destructive, there's a type of empathy that I've never heard of called fusion empathy. I think in the old days we used to call it sympathy. And this is where you absorb another person's emotions so intensely that you can't really see the reality of the situation anymore. And this shows up in leadership and management as the poor baby syndrome. So, for example, someone calls in sick for the fourth Monday in a row, or they have crisis when any sort of accountability is approaching. Or they demand some sort of special validation when they're just doing their job. And over-empathetic manager, an inappropriately empathetic manager says, "Oh, poor baby, let's not push them." And meanwhile, performance lags and the team loses respect. Now, part of the problem here is that some people extend empathy to people automatically when they seem to be vulnerable, even if this person is behaving in a harmful or dishonest way. So in organizational life, this might look like defending a toxic employee because they're going through a rough time, or overlooking misconduct because they mean well, or even taking sides based on emotion instead of facts. Unbounded empathy blinds you to bad behavior. Wise empathy distinguishes emotion from action. So to be sure, empathy is not the same as agreement. Sometimes managers think, well, if I empathize with someone, I need to give them what they want. But that's not quite right. Empathy means saying, I see how you feel, but I remain responsible for the consequences. So you can understand someone's stress, and you can acknowledge their story, and even make space for their emotions, while still being able to say, no, not acceptable, or this must change. In fact, that's exactly what good managers do. So what leaders need is wise empathy, and that has three components. The first one is cognitive empathy, and that is, I understand your position. And this is something that you can say after you've asked a couple of open-ended questions and then made a summary of the person's story that they agree with and say, that's right. And then you can say, okay, I understand your perspective. The second one is emotional regulation. And that is, I can hear your emotion. I can talk about your emotion with you without getting completely wrapped up in it, without being consumed by it, because sometimes the emotions can get pretty high. Don't let their distress make you lose your objectivity. And the third one is behavioral boundaries. So I care about how you feel, but I'm going to judge you by what you do. Actions matter, patterns matter, impact matters. And this is where inexperienced managers often fail. They think boundaries or expectations are somehow unkind. In reality, boundaries are the deepest form of respect. They help the person grow and protect them from dysfunction. Okay, so how much empathy should a manager have? Well, let's put it on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 3 is cold and detached and maybe a little bit unsafe. 4 to 6 is healthy empathy. You're understanding people, but you're staying objective. 7 to 8 may be good for coaching roles or human resources, but still requires strong boundaries. And 9 to 10, oh, this is really dangerous for leadership. You get that emotional fusion, over-identification, moral blindness even, and this is all just enabling behavior. Most great leaders operate around a 5 to a 6, healthy empathy. So care deeply, question and listen attentively, but keep clarity and standards and boundaries that are linked to the company's strategy. And these have got to be non-negotiable. So empathy isn't the problem. The absence of boundaries and consequences is the problem. And the job of the leader is not to shield people from the consequences. Their job is to support them through the consequences. And that's what creates growth, accountability, maturity, and trust. So thank you so much for watching this video. And in the description, you'll get a wise empathy checklist just for you. Until next time, take care.